everybody, and welcome to County Talk, Boring But Important, where we talk about the nitty-gritty issues that affect your life as a taxpayer in Montrose County. We're here to shed light on all the things, inner workings of the county and things that go on that you might want to know more about. Today, we're going to talk with Matt Smith, who is the Montrose County Fairgrounds and Event Center Director, and I'm Sue Hansen. I'm one of your 3 elected county commissioners, and we're going to, since it's getting to be fair time, this is a perfect time to talk to Matt Smith and find out a little bit more about him and what we're doing and what's happening. So let's launch right into it. Matt, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Sue.
Yeah. So give us a little bit of your background and how you came here and what's been happening since you've been here.
Sure. How far do you want me to go back?
Well, not till your childhood. Okay.
Perfect. That'll give me some boundaries or some guardrails like we talked about earlier. So I just finished up a 16-year career in criminal justice. So previous to that, I was in golf course management. So I didn't necessarily have the natural career progression that people would think that would lend itself to. But after 16 years in criminal justice, I decided to make a change, but I also wanted to stay in public service, and this opportunity was available, and it seemed to me that it would be a perfect fit and kind of a strange to say blending of the 2 careers that I've had in the past and applying them to this position. So on March 4th of this year, I started at the Montrose County Event Center and Fairgrounds, and it's been a great time ever since.
Well, so how did it blend? Draw the conclusion for me, law enforcement and golf course management.
Yeah. So at the golf course, that's what I went to school for. That's what my original college degree is in, agronomy and turfgrass management and soil science. When I was in golf course management, we set up for a lot of events. We did a lot of logistics. I managed a crew. I managed a budget. It's much the same as this particular position as far as the events and budgeting and things like that go. For the criminal justice side of it, it's a little bit more kind of a vague nexus to make. But there was a lot of team building that I did, recruitment, retention, strategic planning, budgeting, finance, things like that. So some light HR work as well. So those 2 things together is, even though they're a little bit, they're diametrically opposing, they do kind of blend together and then they fit.
And you know how to grow a lawn.
What's that?
You know how to grow a lawn.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anybody needs any advice on how to fertilize their yard, I can help out with that
So
as
the
well.
event center and the fairgrounds, it's a big task. There's a huge facility, 2 huge facilities. There's a lot of horse barns and things like that to manage. But you have a team. So talk a little bit about your team, and I think we have your team on one of our slides. Tell me a little bit about the team and what's going on.
Yeah, so that's a portion of our team. Not everybody's represented, and 2 event promoters in the center there from our most recent event, or 2 events, barrel racing events that were pretty popular. So we have 11 people total, including me, at the Montrose County Fairgrounds and Event Center. So I supervise our events manager for the event center and an events manager for the fairgrounds. And then we also have an event coordinator who handles boots on the ground type coordination of events and is a real good point person for people as they have their events. And then we have a maintenance supervisor and a host of folks who provide maintenance services, setups, and things of that nature, and then 2 people that provide for custodial services. So a great team. From the day I got there, they've been so supportive and so patient with me that I can't even express my gratitude enough for them.
Yeah, that's great.
They're awesome.
Well, they're probably glad to have you there too, and you bring a level of enthusiasm, which is really exciting. So one of the things that I want to start from the ground up, especially since we talked about soil, in the event center, there's a very specific mixture of soil that we use in order to accommodate some of our events. Would you speak to that a little bit and explain to us what that is? Why is that so? It's like chemistry almost.
Yeah, sure. It is a science. When you sit up in the grandstands, and I was guilty of this too when I came to the event center prior to being in this position. I would just look out on the ground and think, well, that's just dirt. Well, it is and it isn't. There's a certain way that each event wants that dirt prepared for footing so that it's safe for the animals and gives them a great chance to compete at a high level. It's versatile in that we can pack the floor and have a surface that's hard enough to have banquets and things like that on it as well. So the thing about it too, over time, the more you work your soil, the more tired it becomes, the more the soil colloids become rounded and everything like that, so that your soil doesn't have the same moisture retention and properties for footing and safety that it did once. So there's a lot to it. CJ Black, he's the one in the green polo there with the goatee sitting on the tractor. He's someone who I refer to as a dirt wizard. He knows everything about the arena. He lives, breathes, and eats the soil, not literally, but that's what he does every day. And he has a good eye for what each event needs, and he prepares it accordingly.
And even to the point where we've had people come to look at our soil or the composition and mimic it. I mean, it is a real science. It's not something that you just throw a bunch of dirt down and you're fine. And the animals respond differently to the different kinds of composition of the soil.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And that's been really interesting for me to learn as I, go through each of these equine events, what each promoter and each group of contestants wants to see with their soil, what the moisture content they want, how deep they like it prepared. There's just a myriad of different things that people like to have, and for each event, it seems like it's different.
Yeah, so. It's to me like it's sort of like you see the ski races, and sometimes the racers have terrible time on the snow, but we try to make this perfect for whatever event it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So your team, how have you brought the team together, and what was your kind of philosophy of bringing the people together and having them work well with you?
Yeah. So one thing I did in criminal justice was a lot of team building and a lot of just team cohesion and development of people in their careers, career mapping and things like that. So I guess the foundational point is enthusiasm, positivity, safety, efficiency, treating each other with respect and courtesy. That's something that we all hold really highly in high regard. So day one, that's what we started talking about. We meet with each other regularly. We're all on the same page. I truly think that we're starting to believe that collaboration within the team from the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top is something that will make us very successful. So communication and collaboration and all the other things I talked about are things that I've tried to implement, and our team really does respond to that. And I think everyone does.
Yeah, I think people respond to that. Yeah.
It doesn't much matter what career or job you have. If you're treated with dignity and respect and you have that chance to collaborate and your input is valued, I think people really do respond to it. So.
Well, sure. When we spend so much time at work that we really want to be around people that we respect and admire and work well with. So we don't always have to be, best friends, but we do have to find a level of getting along. So yeah, well, it's great. And that your enthusiasm is kind of, it comes through in everything you do. So that's always really great to see. There's a lot going on at the fairgrounds and the event center. Pretend like we're talking to brand new people that have never been to the event center before. Talk a little bit about your events and what you're particularly proud of with regard to what you have going on over there.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be easy for me to do because prior to coming to this position, I didn't know very much either. So we do have some pretty major events that we hold at the event center and some that are like hallmark events that keep coming back. And one of those you can see depicted on the left, that's barrel racing. And we had two big barrel racing competitions over the last couple weekends. One was called the Run at the Rose, and the other was the Colorado Classic. So interestingly enough, these events are very high dollar events. The animals are very expensive, and the people take these events very, very seriously, and they train for them year round. So when they come out to compete, they expect conditions to be at the optimum. It doesn't just speak to high performance conditions in the arena, but outside the arena as well. So our staff is out. The service. Our staff is out really making a good effort to treat each person with dignity and respect and have great customer service, keeping the grounds clean, having attention to detail and things like that. So when folks do come to the event center and watch something like this, hopefully they would take note that not only are they seeing something that's pretty amazing, an athletic animal and an athletic person working that animal, but also the amenities that we have, the way they're kept up, and the way people take pride in what they're doing.
Yeah, I imagine. And this is a very expensive horse here that's shown here, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that they don't get injured or anything like that.
Absolutely.
So that's partly what you have to take care of the soil and the amenities. So perfect. So barrel racing is a big thing.
Yep.
What about talk about the cutting event, because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. We have that coming up this weekend. It's put on by TLC, which is a production company. And basically, the way a cutting works is a rider and a horse enter the ring and they separate one animal from a herd and they keep that animal in the center of the arena for a period of time. And then after that process is done, they're judged on it. So it's going to be really exciting to watch. I know there are a lot of competitors. There are people that are showing up already.
And that's open to the public, right?
That's
So
open to the
people
public to
can-
watch.
So people can find it. Where do they find out information about that if they want to attend?
Yeah, so they can go to the website. It's now I'm drawing a blank as to what it is.
MontroseCounty.net.
Yeah.
And then go to Fairgrounds, right?
Yeah,
And there's
exactly.
probably a link too. So we should have had that.
Very sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. But they can go
Call
to that.
us. We'll let you know.
Yeah, they can go to our website and they can see a whole calendar of all of our events, when they start, when they wrap up, and it doesn't say whether they're open to the public or not. But by and large, a lot of them are open to the public, and we haven't charged for barrel racing, so people can come in to watch those
Yeah.
for free.
Learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, it's
exciting.
not just about animals. I mean, of course, we have the fair, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But what other events do we have at the event center that people might be not think we have?
Yeah, so team roping, I guess, just because it's on the screen, but it's kind of in the similar vein that you're talking about. But we also have auto shows and sales, banquets, gun shows, home and garden shows at the Friendship Hall, craft shows, community dinners, veterans events, 4-H and FFA events for youth development. We've had a circus in the past, evidently. I didn't realize that we had that. I haven't experienced that here yet, and you were talking about the fair as well annually. So there are a lot of events that aren't just equine events. We're trying to place a premium also on youth development. We would like to see some more sustainability in our ag culture here in Montrose County, so that's something that's important to us. So we're exploring ways to make sure that that next group of people come and visit the event center and get excited about agriculture because it is part of our heritage.
So what would that look like? What kind of ways would you do outreach to get people excited? Because I share that. I think that we believe ag is important. It's a big economic driver for us, and I'd love to see more people involved in the ag arena and young kids. It can be so rewarding. So any plans for how you might do some outreach on that?
So the school district has done a good job so far in having things like ag in the classroom. I think there's a slide later on about that shows that event. 4-H and FFA are obviously big clubs that we can do outreach with as well. But I think the school district is the one that in a partnership would be the best place to get juice for the squeeze as far as that outreach goes, because there are ag kids everywhere. They just need a place and a reason and a program to go visit.
Right.
So I think when we do outreach, that's going to get our bang for the buck there.
Yeah, I think it's. I love, and I love going to Olathe. I love the philosophy and the culture of Olathe.
Yep.
It'd be nice to see Montrose County as a whole be more focused on how do we get kids involved, and even if they don't have a farm, they can still be involved in growing an animal and that sort of thing. So
Yep.
I'd love to see that. So we have a lot of animal events. We have a lot. I mean, that's kind of a natural for us.
Yeah.
We seem to be the biggest facility. If you're going to have over a bunch of people at an event, I don't even know what the number is, but we are one of the only facilities in the area that can accommodate that many people.
That's right.
So, and then how much does that strain does that put on your staff? I mean, you're doing events, setting up, taking down. I know that. Are you still rolling the floor out when there's an event where you don't do that, or are you just trying to compact the soil so that people can walk on it?
So we've only used to my understanding, the floor one time per year right now as it stands, and that's for a youth wrestling tournament that occurs at the beginning of each year. So generally speaking, just packing it itself has been sufficient.
Good.
So to your point, though, one thing that has surprised me, and you don't see this probably when you sit in the stands, is how much work it does take to do the setups. We call them setups, when you set up all the panels and you move those around for each event because each one is different. How much manpower that does take and how much labor it does take. We're striving for efficiency. Each time we do these, we're trying to come up with ways that we can do them quicker and better so that we're being fiscally responsible. But that does take a lot of work, like you said. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out that, at least this has been my limited experience, that the bigger the event, the more manpower it takes. it almost seems as though, from what I can tell, that the more intricate and complex the setup is, as far as panels and boxes and chutes and things like that are, the more manpower that can take.
Yeah, well, and then we have on the grounds of the fairgrounds, we have RV setups for people that are spending, the night for some of these events. So I think with a team of 11 and
Yeah.
not everybody in that role, right?
Yep.
That it's a big task for
Yeah.
everybody to accomplish that. So,
Absolutely,
And
yep.
I even the fair, for a week at the fair can be exhausting for a team.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fair, because I think it's one of the things we want to make sure that people know about. And
Yes.
as Montrose has grown, we have people that are moving further and further away from fair activities. I'd like them to move closer and closer to fair activities. But let's talk a little bit about what to expect, because it starts July.
We start setting up the weekend before the 22nd, Monday the 22nd, and then it goes through that next week, and then it wraps up that weekend after. So it is a lengthy affair. I
Right.
guess.
Lengthy fair.
Pretty
Yeah.
good, But a lot of activities, a lot of shows, a lot of vendors. Of course, the kids with their projects and things like that. That's just the cornerstone of any county fair. So that's to be expected. I'm hoping to expect huge crowds. We do have a community night where free food is being served. I think hot dogs and hamburgers are being served, so that's going to be awesome. There's rodeo, bull riding, things like that. So there's plenty to do. All the arts and crafts that everybody
The open
submits.
shows.
The open shows are awesome.
So people that aren't into cows
Yep.
or pigs,
Yeah.
goats. There's the whole open show with the Lego displays and the
Yes.
quilt displays and the
Yep.
art display. it is a big production.
Yeah,
So
I think there's something for everyone, I would imagine. Kiddie tractor pull, mutton busting, and goat roping, I think
Right.
I heard was also on tap. So that would be pretty fun to watch.
yeah, well, the mutton busting is always hilarious. I know that Katie's kids have done that before. Didn't they do it last year? So yeah, those muttons won't be the same after Katie's kids got them. So I think we've talked about a lot of the events. I'm not sure if we've been 100%, but I want people to keep in mind that the fair is open to the public.
Absolutely.
You can come and go. And then one of the things I have to add is that the cattle women do the chuck wagon.
Yes.
So we provide lunch all through the fair for people, and the cattle women are really special because they work really hard, and those ladies. Some of them are they're not double my age, but they're getting on up there, and they work as hard as anybody else. So I just want to make sure people know there's lunch there, and the cattle women do supply that. So
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. Last week they had their meeting, and I was able to sit in for about 15 minutes while they were talking about some of the food they were going to prepare and what their menu was going to look like and the times they were going to be serving and everything. And up until I sat down and listened, I didn't really understand how much work that took and how much food they actually prepare.
Right.
So it's definitely worth giving a shout out to them because, hit the chuck wagon if you do go to the fair, because that's for scholarships too, I think is what
all the money goes to scholarships.
All the money goes to scholarships, and I didn't know that. So it's a worthy cause, and it sounds like the food's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's homemade, and it's really going to
be it's cooked with love, I think.
Yeah,
so I enjoy that group of women, and I think they've been doing it for an awful long time for the fair. So it's really great. As you look to the future of the event center, do you have any plans or thoughts for the future and kind of dreams of what you'd like to do? Can you share some of those with us?
Yeah, I do have a few ideas. My team and I are in the middle of a strategic planning process. We haven't wrapped that up. We're in the busy season, so it's languished just a little bit. But we do have some ideas about where we can see growth. We have a certain idea of how we can define growth too, because in my opinion, it's not always about dollars and cents. It's about community engagement. You can grow in that way. You can grow in youth participation and development. That's a big thing for us as well. So not just looking at dollars and cents, but identifying and defining specifically what growth looks like and what each event can provide for that growth. I know we need more space. Some of the feedback we've had from promoters, not unlike the barrel racers, are this thing could be as big as you want it to be if you had more space for horses and for people. So I think we have some ideas about that. Just being more deliberate about the events that we have and really watching how we can be efficient is something that I want to pay attention to as well to keep employee costs down, but always being aggressive and thinking about each event and how it's going to grow and hopefully add to Montrose County as a whole.
Sure. Yeah, I know in the early years, we brought in music events and things like that. And I think landing on these horse and ag events is sort of our sweet spot.
I think so too.
It helps promote Montrose County as an ag community, and again, bringing kids into the fold so that they can enjoy it. And I think when you see the kids out there, they're really proud of what they're doing, and that just warms my heart when I get to see that. So I love that. So. What else is going on at the event center that you think we should be able to tell our folks?
That's a really good question. I hadn't thought of it.
Because when we talk about the event center, that was built in 2014, I believe. Was that right? 2014, something like that. And I think there was some vision that it was going to be a certain thing, but as we realize how much it costs to put on some of those productions, you have to make sure that you have the audience for it. So narrowing it down to the scope, I think, is just super wise. And I hope you stay within that, vein.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that's been interesting to kind of see from the outside looking in, I use that phrase just because I'm new still, is that a lot of people who live here don't know what the event center does. And I actually had one person say, oh, that's where they have the flu clinic, or that's when they did the COVID drive-through. And I was like, yeah, but it's a lot more than that. So I would almost encourage people just to hit us up. And if they want to have a tour, I would be more than willing to give anybody a tour and just kind of talk through some of the things that like we've talked about today, how things are set up, what kind of events we have, what kind of things we have on the horizon, what our hopes are, and what our team looks like too, and how hard they work to do a good job here at Montrose County. That would be something I would be really happy to do.
I think that would be great. I don't know if the forum that meets on Wednesday morning, community information, opportunity. If we could do a tour with them, that would be really great too.
Oh, yeah.
I know we took them to the airport and did that kind of a tour. But I think when you have a setup for one of these events, it's really impressive to see all the things that have to be put together. I mean, it could be a logistical nightmare. I mean, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And making sure the sale barn and the animal pens are perfect. And I mean,
there's
a lot. I love to go out there and watch the kids cleaning their, bathing their cattle before they go into the show. It's a big job for a little bitty kid this tall to be washing this, huge cow. I love it. I love everything about it. Well, we're really proud to have you with us.
Awesome.
We think that having you join our team was a really a great opportunity, and personally, since I've known you before, just really glad to bring you your level of professionalism and energy to the fairgrounds, and the event center is really great.
Well, thank you for saying that. That means an awful lot. I appreciate it.
No, it's true. So anyway, well, I hope we've answered some questions for you about how the event center and the fairgrounds works, and if you have any questions, you can reach us at montrosecounty.net anytime, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next episode of County Talk, Boring but Important. I'm Sue Hansen.